climate change is no more a thing that the next generation needs to worry about. It's now an emergency that the present generation needs to address. By the next one, it will probably be a bit too late. There are now wild weather swings that are taking place around the world, not just in developing countries, but even the abode of rich and mighty, the French Riviera. Wild weather swings now wreak havoc to the global economy, from testing power grids to skyrocketing food prices. And by 2049, these damages could cost the global economy a whopping $38 trillion every year, more than 6 times of what is needed to cut emissions as per the Paris Pact, which is $6 trillion. But here's the alarming part. The world is not even spending this much. Spending on clean tech stood at $1.8 trillion in 2023. As we live in these times of wild weather, watch this report to take a look at the real extent of the climate catastrophe that stares all of us.
From a record-breaking heat wave in India to extreme weather in Brazil, USA and Mexico, climate catastrophe is here. The month of May was the 12th consecutive month of record-breaking temperatures, with average temperatures at 1.52 degrees Celsius above the pre-industrial age. This is likely to make 2024 the hottest year on record. But that's not all. For England, this has been the wettest year since 1836. For Dubai, it witnessed its worst floods ever. And for Canada, it saw wildfires that burnt continuously for a year. In India, the severe heat wave this summer may have killed at least 100 people and made tens of thousands very sick. The heat wave has been deadly for the US. As per the Center for Disease Control and Prevention, heat contributed to the deaths of more than 2,300 Americans in 2023. The death toll has more than doubled in the past 5 years. In March, the Saharan dust storms turned skies yellow and orange and degraded air quality in European countries, from Greece to Italy to France. If there's one thing that the climate emergency shows, it is that it will impact all countries, including the most advanced.
Now, reports show that a 1% increase in global temperature leads to a 12% decline in world GDP. And as expected, this will hit poorer countries much more than their rich counterparts. In Middle East and Africa, the projected income loss by 2049 will be 22.4%. For South Asia, it will be 22.3%. For Europe and America, the loss would be half, 11%. But the disruptions that will be coming because of this to housing, food prices, energy, transportation costs will spare no one. In fact, as per ICF, the lifetime cost of climate change for a baby born in US today is $500,000. This may rise further. When will the rich countries that have historically been high polluters rise together? Shifting our focus now to China. Beijing has been struggling to get back to its pre-pandemic levels, and while manufacturing is picking up, its real estate sector, which makes up almost a quarter of the economy, is showing no signs of recovery. The Chinese government seems to have done everything it can, but it doesn't seem to be enough. And just how bad the situation for China's housing is, well, the short answer to that is very bad. New home prices fell at the fastest pace in nearly a decade. The May price drop was the 11th month-on-month fall and the steepest since October 2014. Worse still, the government's measures have all seemed to failed. From reducing rates to easing eligibility criteria to even offers of rolling over loans, nothing seems to be bringing customers back, and it won't, because the prognosis is wrong and the response inadequate. The sector is struggling because home buyers are unsure of their economic future. They're uncertain about the prospects of the big real estate companies and the larger demographic trend, which reflects a rapidly aging society which isn't going to go about buying houses. Now, this can't be solved by asking local governments to buy unsold inventory and turning them into affordable housing. For starters, there are no takers for that many housing units. And secondly, the amount promised by Xi Jinping to local governments is not even 10% of the value of unsold houses that need to be brought. And above all, since China's economic model focused on local governments taking large debts to build those giant infrastructure projects for the last 15 years, their balance sheets are now maxed out. They cannot take more loans, even if it means at the cost of the collapse of the housing sector. If anything, China can learn from the Indian real estate market. The sector here is 7% of the GDP, not 25% as it is in China. It has checks and balances on developers through regulatory bodies. And even if developers have stretched balance sheets, the consumer demand is real. There are no ghost towns in India. China's real estate sector is yet to bottom out, and it remains to be seen whether it will take the economy with it.